Imagine you want to buy the best possible pair of winter slippers.
Okay.
You go to a search engine, you type in your query, and traditionally you get a list of websites. You click on a link from a publisher.
Like the New York Times Wirecutter, for example.
Exactly. And that publisher spent like 3 years doing rigorous physical testing of 50 different pairs of slippers just to write that guide.
Right. It's a huge investment of time.
Yeah, but today, the machine you're using doesn't just hand you the link. In about, well, 2.5 seconds, it actively reads those 3 years of testing data.
Wow.
It extracts the top recommendations, duplicates the proprietary photos, and synthesizes this, like, perfectly formatted summary right on your screen. You get your answer instantly.
And you never click the link.
Exactly, you never click. And the publisher who spent all those years testing the slippers gets, well, zero ad revenue and zero affiliate sales.
It is a complete disruption of the fundamental economic contract the internet has relied on for, 2 decades now.
Yeah.
The directory service model, where a search engine just points you to where information lives,
Yeah.
is being replaced by an extraction model. The user gets the treasure without having to go on the treasurement.
But the map makers are the ones footing the bill.
Precisely.
Well, today we are looking at the company driving that disruption. We are talking about Perplexity AI. Welcome to the deep dive.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
We have an incredibly dense, multi-layered stack of sources to guide our analysis today for you. We're looking at a massive copyright infringement lawsuit from the New York Times, some really deep financial teardowns from the research firm SAC.
Yeah, those numbers are wild.
You really are. Plus complex developer API documentation, benchmarking reports against tools like Firecrawl, and we're even opening up natural language processing textbooks.
I think a bit academic today.
Just a bit. Okay, let's unpack this, because we're talking about a platform that has rapidly gone from this niche tech experiment to a daily operating system for tens of millions of people.
Yeah, and we aren't just looking at a successful app here. We are examining a company that is fundamentally challenging the business models of big tech and traditional media alike.
So let's start with the scale, because the numbers from that Sacra financial teardown really put things into perspective.
Oh, absolutely. By April of 2026, Perplexity hit an annualized recurring revenue, or ARR, of $500 million.
500 million. That's incredible growth.
It is. And they are serving 100 million monthly active users, and they're sitting on a $20 billion valuation right now.
Okay, but to understand why this specific company is causing such an earthquake, we really need to look at the mechanics of what they actually built.
Right, because they call themselves an answer engine, not a search engine.
Right, and the architecture under the hood is fundamentally different from a traditional large language model. We hear the acronym RAG a lot, Retrieval Augmented Generation.
Yeah, RAG is the key here.
But how does that actually work in practice? Because early versions of AI chatbots were, they were basically just guessing machines, right?
Oh, totally. If you asked an early model about a news event from yesterday, it would just hallucinate an answer.
Because its brain was frozen on whatever day it finished its training data.
Exactly. So RAG solves that hallucination problem by separating the retrieval of information from the actual generation of the answer.
Okay, so walk me through it. I type a question into Perplexity. What happens?
Well, it doesn't just ask its internal brain to generate words. The first thing it does is a semantic search. It breaks your question down into a mathematical vector.
Right.
Then it goes out to the live internet and finds the web pages that mathematically match the intent of your question.
So it's actively browsing in real time.
Yes, it pulls those live up to the second web pages, breaks the text down into smaller chunks, and feeds only those specific chunks into the language model.
I see.
The prompt to the AI is essentially, hey, do not guess, read this specific text I just handed you, and write an answer based exclusively on this data.
So if traditional search engines are like a librarian who, drops 50 books on your desk and walks away.
And says, good luck.
Right, exactly. Perplexity isn't just reading the books for you. It's aggressively scanning the indices, pulling out the exact paragraphs relevant to your question, synthesizing them into a custom briefing. And this is crucial, leaving inline citations so you can actually verify the original source.
Yeah, the citations build a lot of trust. And they compound that mechanical advantage with a feature they call ProSearch.
Oh, right, the multi-step loop.
Yeah, it is a deep 5-step reasoning process that happens in the background before you ever see a single word on your screen.
So what are the steps?
First, clarification. If your prompt is vague, The model actually pauses and asks you clarifying questions.
Oh, like, did you mean this or this?
Exactly. Second, it runs multi-angle searches. So if you ask about the economic impact of a new tax law, it doesn't just search for the law itself.
What else is it looking for?
It simultaneously searches for manufacturing impacts, consumer spending forecasts, and, historical precedents all at once.
That's incredibly thorough.
It is. Third step, it evaluates the sources. It actively filters out low-authority blogs in favor of primary documents. Fourth, it synthesizes all of that conflicting information.
And then the fifth step,
Finally, it structures the output into a readable, formatted answer.
which explains why it dominates when you need to synthesize complex, multi-source research. Like, if you are building a market brief on European supply chains, you bypass the entire page of sponsored links and just get a structured report.
It's a huge time saver.
Though, it's worth noting, Google still absolutely dominates navigational and local searches. If you just need to find a coffee shop near you or you want the login page for your bank, Perplexity is kind of overkill.
Oh, 100%. It's not for that.
But I gotta stop here because the economics of this make absolutely no sense to me.
How so?
Well, serving an AI-generated multi-step RAG query to 100 million users requires a terrifying amount of server compute.
Yes, it is very expensive.
And Google affords its server costs by blasting you with ads. So what does this all mean for their wallet? How do they make $500 million a year if they aren't blasting users with ads?
Well, they are proving that users will pay directly for utility if the utility is high enough.
So subscriptions.
Exactly. The free tier acts as this massive funnel. But once users experience the time-saving benefits of that multi-step pro search, a significant percentage actually convert to the $20 a month pro tier.
And what does $20 actually get you?
That subscription unlocks unlimited pro searches. Plus, it lets the user choose which underlying brain they want to use, whether that's Anthropic's Claude or OpenAI's GPT-4o.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And then they even introduced a $200 a month max tier.
$200 a month?
Yeah, for heavy power users and enterprise teams who need bleeding-edge compute priority.
Wow. But still, they are aggressively forcing their way into the consumer pipeline, aren't they? I mean, a $20 subscription is a very tough sell when Google is free and already installed on the phone in your pocket.
That's a great point. And they are bypassing that App Store discovery problem entirely through massive distribution partnerships.
Okay, like what?
Well, our sources highlight a $400 million deal to integrate Perplexity's answer engine directly into Snapchat.
Whoa, so that puts their tech in front of hundreds of millions of younger users instantly.
Exactly. And they also struck a deal with Motorola to pre-install Perplexity as a default app on millions of smartphones globally.
So they are literally paying to embed themselves into the hardware and social networks that people are already using.
Yep, they aren't waiting for users to find them.
But wait, even with those distribution deals and subscription tiers, the cloud computing costs of running all those massive models should be bankrupting them. I mean, OpenAI and Google spend billions building massive data centers just to handle the processing.
They do.
This brings us to a major piece of their technological edge. How do they handle the infrastructure load without burning through all their cache?
Right, so they use a highly sophisticated orchestration layer called hybrid local cloud inference.
Okay, let's break that down. Inference is just the technical term for the AI actively processing data and generating an answer, right?
Exactly. Now, traditionally, every single time you talk to an AI, your phone sends that data to a massive server farm somewhere. The servers do the heavy lifting and beam the answer back.
Which is expensive and, frankly, kind of slow.
Very slow. But Perplexity's orchestration layer intercepts your query and makes a routing decision first.
A routing decision.
Yeah. If you ask a simple question, or you just need a local document summarized, the orchestrator routes the workload to the neural processing unit, the NPU chip physically inside your phone or laptop.
Wait, really? So your own device is doing the math, costing Perplexity absolutely nothing in server fees?
Precisely. It only sends the complex, heavy-lift reasoning tasks up to the cloud.
That's brilliant.
This hybrid approach drastically reduces their cloud compute overhead. But honestly, it solves a much bigger problem: data privacy.
Oh, because if the data is processed locally on my laptop, it never travels across the open internet to a public server.
Exactly. And that unlocks massive, highly regulated enterprise markets that cloud-only AI companies really struggle to touch.
Like healthcare, I assume?
Yep. A prime example from the Sacred Teardown is Perplexity Health.
How does that work?
Well, by guaranteeing that sensitive data never leaves the local hardware environment, Perplexity was able to connect its search capabilities to the electronic health records of over 1.7 million care providers.
1.7 million, that's huge.
Yeah. A doctor can use Perplexity to cross-reference a patient's chart with the latest medical journals without violating IPA regulations.
hmm
You could never do that if every patient query was being beamed to a centralized cloud.
Man, that is a massive structural advantage, and they aren't stopping at just answering questions either.
I know, they're not.
The sources show they are moving heavily into agentic expansion. They launched an AI-native browser called Comet and a tool simply called Computer.
Right, the autonomous agent.
Yeah. And this agent orchestrates up to 19 different AI models in parallel.
19 models at once. It's wild.
You give it a command, and it doesn't just search the web. It clicks buttons, fills out forms, shops for you, sends emails on your behalf. But here's where it gets really interesting. I struggle to see how this is a defensible moat.
Why is that?
Because Google just rolled out Let Google Call, an agent that literally phones local stores, uses a synthesized voice to ask a human clerk if an item is in stock, and then uses Google Pay to buy it for you.
Yeah, that's stiff competition.
How does a startup compete with an agent that has direct access to the world's largest payment and mapping ecosystem?
What's fascinating here is Perplexity's core philosophy regarding the underlying models. See, Google is relying entirely on its own proprietary Gemini models to power its agents.
Right.
Perplexity, on the other hand, is completely model agnostic. They're basically aggregating everyone else's intelligence.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they use Meta's open source Llama, Anthropic's Claude, OpenAI's latest models, and even highly efficient Chinese open source models like DeepSeek.
So they are betting that building the smartest brain is actually a losing game.
They are betting it's a commoditized game. Trading a foundational model costs billions of dollars and takes months. But the moment a new, smarter model is released by anyone in the world, Perplexity just plugs it right into their routing layer.
So if Anthropic's servers go down, the orchestrator seamlessly routes your query to Meta's model.
Exactly. By doing this, Perplexity avoids the massive capital expenditure of training models. They believe that capturing the user's intent, owning the search interface, and holding the engagement data is vastly more valuable and defensible than owning the underlying algorithm.
They want to be the ultimate routing layer for the internet's intelligence.
That's the goal.
Well, let's test that theory against external developers, because Perplexity offers an API and application programming interface. They're essentially renting out this routing layer so other developers can build their own autonomous agents.
Right, using tools like their search, sonar, and embeddings APIs.
Exactly. And if you are listening to this and you've ever tried to build a simple automation, like maybe an AI script to scrape real estate listings to find a cheap apartment, you know that gathering the data is the hardest part.
Oh, it's a nightmare.
But when we look at the developer benchmarking reports, specifically the data from A Multiple, Perplexity's API armor really starts to crack.
It is a significant vulnerability. When a developer builds an autonomous AI agent, that agent operates in a continuous feedback loop.
Right. It looks at a web page, makes a decision, clicks a link, reads the new page, and makes another decision.
And that requires speed. The AMI multiple benchmarks showed Perplexity's API taking over 11 seconds on average to return data.
11 seconds.
Yeah. If your real estate agent needs to search 20 different property listings to make a comparison, and every single search takes 11 seconds, the latency makes the automation practically unusable.
But the latency isn't even the biggest issue for developers, is it? It's the actual shape of the data Perplexity returns.
Oh yeah, the formatting is a huge problem.
Because if you want your real estate script to pull the price, the square footage, and the address, you don't want a beautifully written conversational paragraph summarizing the house. You want a spreadsheet. You want structured data.
Yes, and this is where specialized scraping tools like Firecrawl are dominating Perplexity in the developer market.
Okay, tell me about Firecrawl.
Well, Perplexity's API is designed to return human-readable summaries. But an AI agent cannot easily extract a strict numerical value from a conversational paragraph without risking errors.
It's too messy.
Exactly. Firecrawl, conversely, bypasses the conversational synthesis entirely. It goes to a live web page, strips away all the messy HTML code, the ads, and the pop-ups, and converts the raw site into token-efficient Markdown.
And Markdown is just a highly simplified text format, right? It strips away the heavy website code so the AI doesn't get overwhelmed reading font colors and layout instructions.
Exactly. Or, even better for developers, Firecrawl can return the data in a strict JSON schema.
JSON schema. Okay, how does that work?
Think of JSON as basically a highly organized digital filing cabinet. The developer tells Firecrawl, hey, Only give me data that fits into 3 folders: price, address, and square footage.
And it just delivers it perfectly formatted.
Yep. The AI agent receives perfectly structured data it can immediately drop into a database.
Think about it like a restaurant. Using Perplexity's API to feed your AI agent is like feeding a master chef a pre-chewed, fully cooked meal and then asking them to cook with it.
That's a great analogy.
The chef, your AI agent, doesn't want Perplexity's summary of the ingredients. It wants the raw vegetables and the raw meat so it can do its own reasoning and its own cooking.
Right. And tools like FireCrawl hand the chef the raw ingredients perfectly prepped.
While Perplexity pre-digests the internet, which is phenomenal if you're a human looking at a phone screen, but a massive bottleneck if you're an algorithm trying to execute a precise software pipeline.
And that concept of pre-digesting the internet actually brings us to the most existential threat facing the company.
The legal battles.
Yes, you cannot synthesize and pre-digest the world's raw information without colliding with the people who own and create that information.
Right. Because the RLAG architecture we discussed earlier requires a constant daily diet of high-quality, fact-checked human writing to function.
Which brings us to the legal crosshairs. The New York Times lawsuit is a sprawling, multi-layered attack on Perplexity's fundamental right to exist.
It's massive. The Times argues that Perplexity is unlawfully crawling and copying millions of their copyrighted works to fuel this answer engine.
And the technical mechanisms detailed in the complaint are really fascinating. Websites have a standard protocol called a robots.txt file.
Right.
It is essentially a digital do not trespass sign that tells automated web crawlers they are not allowed to read the site.
Okay, so the Times put up a do not trespass sign?
Yes. The Times explicitly configured their robots.txt file to block Perplexity's known web crawlers. But the lawsuit alleges that Perplexity engineered workarounds to bypass that digital fence.
Oh, wow. How?
The complaint claims Perplexity used undeclared IP addresses that spoofed standard web browsers. Essentially, the automated crawler disguised itself as a regular human user on a standard browser, slipped past the firewall, and scraped the proprietary data anyway.
Now, tech companies frequently argue that reading data on the public internet constitutes fair use, and that AI models are creating something transformative. We aren't here to play judge and jury on the legality of web scraping today.
Right, that's for the Kurtz.
But the economic reality of what this does to the publisher is undeniable. Let's go back to the Wirecutter Best Slippers example from the beginning of our deep dive. The legal complaint actually uses this specific example to highlight the concept of substitution.
And substitution is the core of the economic argument here. The publisher isn't just frustrated that the AI read the article. They're arguing that Perplexity's output entirely substitutes the need for the article to exist in the marketplace.
Because it gives you the final answer.
Exactly. By reproducing the exact recommendations, the reasoning, and even the original photographs from the testing process, the answer engine removes any incentive for the user to visit the source.
A search engine drives traffic. An answer engine absorbs it.
Perfect way to put it.
And it is not just traditional media companies filing lawsuits either. Amazon has also entered the legal fray against Perplexity.
Yeah, that one stems from that Comet browser and the automated shopping agents we discussed.
Right. Amazon alleges that Perplexity's autonomous agent is actively accessing Amazon customer accounts to check prices and stock without properly disclosing that it is an automated bot.
They argue this is a direct violation of their terms of service regarding automated account access. So Perplexity is fighting battles on multiple fronts against the largest players in the digital ecosystem.
It's a tough spot to be in.
It is. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, looking at our AI theory textbooks, there is a profound, almost poetic irony to everything we're discussing today.
Oh, tell me.
It comes down to the actual mathematical definition of the word perplexity. See, in the field of natural language processing, perplexity is not just a clever brand name.
Right.
It is a foundational metric used to evaluate how smart an AI model actually is.
Yeah. The textbooks describe perplexity as a measurement of uncertainty. A good way to visualize it for you listening is to think of a rolling die.
Okay, let's hear it.
If an AI is trying to predict the next word in a sentence and it has absolutely no idea what comes next, it's like rolling a 20-sided die where every single word in the dictionary has an equal chance of appearing.
It's pure chaos.
Exactly. That model is highly uncertain, therefore it has a very high perplexity score.
Right. In NLP, perplexity is calculated using cross entropy. It is mathematically represented as 2 to the power of h.
Oh, okay, got it.
But as the model trains on more and more data, it learns the patterns of human language. It starts acting like a loaded die.
Ah, I see.
When it sees the phrase, "the dog chased thee," it knows with high mathematical confidence that the next word is likely cat or ball, not refrigerator.
Right. So the model becomes highly confident. The mathematical entropy drops, and the perplexity score drops with it. The entire goal of training an artificial intelligence is to achieve the lowest possible perplexity.
To eliminate uncertainty,
Exactly.
which is exactly what Perplexity AI took as their consumer mission. I mean, they literally used to market themselves with the phrase, skip the links.
Yep.
Their goal is to look at the chaotic, ad-filled, confusing landscape of the internet and give you one single, confident, perfectly synthesized answer. They want to drive your uncertainty to zero.
But here's the paradox. By achieving that goal, by giving the user absolute certainty and keeping them on the perplexity interface, they have transferred all of that uncertainty onto the creators.
Wow.
They have injected massive existential uncertainty into the economic survival of the publishers, the journalists, and the testers who actually create the data the AI relies on to build its confident answers. That's heavy. If you are using this platform to research a stock or read global news or buy a product, the company doing the hard research to write that news is currently having their business model rewritten by the company we are talking about today.
And it creates a devastating feedback loop for the AI itself, honestly.
Because the ARGAI architecture only works if it has high quality up to the second data to retrieve.
Exactly. If the New York Times cannot afford to pay human investigative journalists, or if Wirecutter can no longer afford to physically test products because their traffic has been absorbed by an answer engine, the quality of information on the live internet degrades.
And if the live internet degrades, Perplexity's orchestration layer has nothing valuable left to summarize.
They risk starving the ecosystem they require for their own survival.
So bringing all the threads together from our sources today, we are looking at a platform that achieved a staggering $500 million revenue run rate by entirely redefining search. They used ARG architecture and a deep 5-step reasoning process to build an answer engine. They utilized a brilliant hybrid local cloud inference model to bypass cloud costs and privacy bottlenecks, which unlocked massive enterprise healthcare contracts.
Yet, we also explored the technical ceilings. We saw how external developers are turning to tools like Firecrawl, because Perplexity's API returns conversational summaries, rather than the raw, token-efficient Markdown and JSON data that automated AI agents actually need to function.
Right. And most critically, we examine the massive legal war being waged by publishers and tech giants who argue that Perplexity's model of extracting and substituting content without driving traffic is fundamentally unlawful and unsustainable.
It leaves us analyzing a future that is structurally unstable. I mean, think about it. If these answer engines are entirely successful at their stated mission, if they train an entire generation of users to expect a perfect summary and never click a hyperlink again, who will actually fund the human researchers, the scientists, and the journalists needed to discover the new information that Perplexity's models will need to scrape in the year 2030?
It's a scary thought.
If the economic incentive to publish human research disappears, will the AI eventually just be forced to summarize the synthetic output of other AI?
It is the ultimate question of the AI era. We all wanted a machine that could give us the treasure without the hassle of the treasure hunt. But by doing so, we might just be erasing the mapmakers entirely. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.